Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are and whenever you are. Welcome to another episode of the Community Live Stream. This is May 3rd, 2018. My name is Chuck Tomasi. I am the ServiceNow guy with the red bow tie. Thankful that all of the technology is working this morning. This seems to be a rather relaxed and leisurely and, oh my gosh, everything lined up and it's working. This is the show that brings you not only answers to our community questions, but how I get to those answers and how I get to the questions. Okay, the technology is working, but the brain isn't quite awake yet. It's 6 a.m. here. We do this show Monday through Friday at 1 p.m. UTC, so you can figure out what time it is. That's why I say good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It could be anywhere, anytime. You could be watching this live, or you could be watching this somewhere years from when it's recorded. Thank you very much for joining me. Again, we do this every Monday through Friday, at least the ones that I can. Obviously, if there's a business arrangement or personal emergency, or the technology doesn't want to work that day, as it happened earlier this week, there will be no show. So if something is offline, don't panic. If I'm not here on a certain day, there's always lots more to go through. This is more of a daily news show. Don't feel like you have to go back to November 20th when I started this and watch every single one of them. That's not what I'm asking here. I am asking for, okay, I had to say something because one of the streams is not responding. We do this show every weekday, as I mentioned, on YouTube, but we also go over to Twitch as well. So if you subscribe to that URL that you see right there, it looks like Twitch is back up and running. Thank you. See somebody watching out there. It must have just been my end for the stream. Go and subscribe to that channel, and I look forward to seeing you there. We've got a couple people already in. Some of our regulars, Steve, Kevin, and Carolyn are online and chatting. Love to say hi to you as well. And it wouldn't be a community live stream if I didn't have to sneeze at least once, and let's hope that was it. Oh, man. Not as nasty as usual. Subscribe to the channel, like this video if you think it's helpful. We also, as I mentioned, do this on Twitch over there. If you feel like watching for whatever reason, you can catch the last couple of weeks over on Twitch. And we do that. I will also be going into our developer portal at developer.servicenow.com. Let's get the lips working today. I'm going to need them next week for knowledge. Speaking is going to be a key requirement. Go over to Developer, get yourself a free personal developer instance, and check out the APIs for scripting, whether it's server-side or client-side. Very, very helpful. I was using it just this morning. Yep, I've already started looking at the community. I kind of cheated and took a peek at some of the things that are coming up. We'll have a discussion about that in a little bit. You can also get not only a free personal developer instance that is loaded up with Kingston or Jakarta or Istanbul, the latest 3 releases, and then when London comes out later this year, we'll add that to the mix and push Istanbul off the cliff. Where was I going? Oh yes, also meetups out there. Check and see if there are any meetups coming up. We have developer meetups all over the globe. Great way to network, great way to learn, great way to build that ServiceNow community that you already have. Steve says, if you have time, can you take a look at this one? And he rambles off of SysID. We are having some language issues in the portal. Question, how do I translate UI messages from SysUI with variables in the key? I might have an idea on that. I don't know if I can pull up that one specifically, but I do have an idea of how you can do translations. Let me give that some thought. It would more than maybe have to be scripted, but let me give that some thought. It really depends on how your widget is doing that. If your server-side code can do it, then use the key with gs.getMessage, similar to what I did at the beginning of the REST API Explorer video last week. Go check out the first few minutes about using gs.getMessage to translate that for you. See if that helps you out. I can do a quick example of that. I don't know if I can do it with variables, but we'll see if we can get into that today. Good morning, Ashley Pyle. Hope everybody's having a wonderful day. It is May 3rd, as I mentioned. This is a momentous day. I'll explain that a little bit later when we get into the community. We have done community, YouTube, Twitch. We didn't do community link. Okay, if you've got a question, you're welcome to point me to it, as Steve did, and say, hey, put this over in the community. Check this out. Can you look at this? But if you put questions into the chat, no one's going to find them. They're not going to be as useful. Please put those into the community at community.servicenow.com. And that way other people will be able to reference them, will be able to comment on them. You're getting more than just my opinion and the viewers that are watching here. You will get the whole global, I don't know, whatever it is, 100,000 or more people that are in the community helping out. And there are some very, very smart people. My expertise is around integrations, custom applications, and the platform in general. I feel very strong in ServiceNow scripting. However, there's a lot of other aspects to the platform, and people ask some dandy questions. You'll see as we go through this episode that I skip over a lot of stuff. It's because I don't know. I might be interested and follow and look at it and peek at it and maybe see if I can learn or explore or expand the knowledge, but there's a lot of things that just aren't going to, that I can't help with. And if you ask those questions here in the chat, it's not going to add up to much. But if you put them in the community, you will have a better chance of getting an answer. So I encourage you to do that over at community.servicenow.com. Let's get rid of the subtitles and get into the content du jour. And that's about as far as my French goes. I'm going to start out, if you watched this in the past, you know that I like to start out with new stuff. I've already had a couple of new stuffs this morning. Dashboards, performance analytics and reporting. All right, before I start, I do need a sip of the herbal tea. Just the right temperature, just the right strength. It's going to be a wonderful day. Later today, I pick up Craig Stepp from the airport. He's from ServiceNow. He's coming over from South Carolina, stopping over in Phoenix before we drive up to Las Vegas on Saturday. He is the man, or I should say one of the two men, who keep the instances going at Knowledge. So if you're going to Knowledge, be sure to give Craig a shout out on Slack or Twitter or something and say, thanks for all the help. He really does a bang up job getting everybody ready, making sure their labs, their images, their configurations are all ready so that when you walk in, it's a seamless experience. It's sort of like that employee onboarding experience we all dream of where everything is just ready for you. So fingers crossed we won't have any problems with the Wi-Fi. Fingers crossed we won't have any problems with Amazon giving us enough IP numbers. Things like that have happened in the past. So knocking on wood, sacrificing small animals. I don't know what we need to do to make this go, but I will do that. Let me make this font a little bit bigger. I did reduce it earlier so that I could insert some code. One downside of having a very large font. How to get Service Portal Index. Let's take a look at that. My wish for a Service Portal forum has not come true yet. I put that into the member feedback. I have just activated Service Portal Designer. I have selected Designer from the screenshot below. I have noticed from the choices I'm missing the Service Portal Index option, which was available from my developer instance. Do I need to activate another plugin for this, please? Not sure what the ask is here. I usually start typing index in the... in fact, I can do this as a screenshot. Let's go to Service Portal over here. This is my personal developer instance that I got free from developer.servicenow.com. Service Portal. And in the Service Portal configuration, I'm going to go to the page designer. Wait for it to load up. Let's go to the page editor. Excuse me. Select page above. It's loading up the pages. Come on. Probably, nope, that's not what I wanted. I did want the designer. I goofed. I want the designer. I always get those mixed up. So I think I want to do the page layout. Wait for the designer to load up. Here we go. And there's a lot of pages in there. And the more you build, the more you get. So what I'm going to do is grab a screenshot and just say, this is what I do. Okay. if you are looking for the, fingers are going well today, for the index page, just type index in the search and you'll find it. Try that. And see image below. There we go. One down. See if anybody else replied. Nope, no reply yet. I always like to see, am I the first one or somebody beat me to it? And if they have, what have they said that I didn't say that we could keep that conversation going very quickly? Almost like being on the phone at the same time. Kevin, thank you. We'll thank him in person. Yep, thanks to Craig. I'll be picking him up from the airport in a few hours. Ashley, I had the same problem when we upgraded Jakarta. I did an XML export from my personal instance and imported that. Alrighty. That's the challenge of doing these conversations live, is I may be saying one thing 5 minutes ago that I don't get a chance to reply to until we get there. So apologies if I'm a little behind. Has labels attribute in dictionary. Ooh, dictionary attributes. Like dictionary attributes. See what they're all about. Hello everybody, we're working on Kingston upgrading our customer instance. There's a conflict in dictionary record in the problem table. After checking the ServiceNow docs, I found an explanation to has labels attribute purpose. I've never heard of this one. It's a true-false on any table. If present or true, marks this table as being the target of a label at some point. This attribute can be set manually, but it is set automatically whenever a label is generated. When true, the label engine will run on any change on the table, updating the labels as needed. But I don't understand the impact of this attribute on the table. Does anyone know what this... If present or true marks the table as being the target of a label at some point. This attribute can be set manually. I don't know. See you in Vegas, Felipe. Thank you for the comment. Anyone have any thoughts on that attribute? I've never... You know what I like to do is see if any other tables have it already. So let's go to SysDictionary. I know I could type dictionary in here by itself, but this has just become so habit to type table names when I know the table name. And let's see if we can create a filter real quick that says attributes includes, contains, has label. I know it's case insensitive, but I like to be proper about this. So let's see if any tables contain that. And we have incident and knowledge base. Fascinating. I didn't know that, and I didn't do that. So let's take a look at the incident table. Interesting. I'm in the global scope, so this is editable. I will be on my best behavior. And attributes shows up down here as a related list. And this is parsed out of the attributes field. So if you go to the advanced view, is that related link? You can see the old-fashioned comma separated value, which is prone to typos, but you can also select some things that aren't necessarily available on this list. So has labels is true. Does it say what this does? Dictionary attribute marks the table as being, this is just a rehash of what was in the I don't know. That's interesting. I can pass on that information, but I don't know what effect that has. Let's try the dictation. I noticed that it was on the incident and KB_knowledge tables, period. I don't know what impact it has, period. Okay, that was a terrible dictation and requires some modification. Katie knowledge. Is that like the performance has shoes? That might be the best cup of tea I've made yet. Getting the temperature right. How to redirect user to homepage after service catalog submission. Okay. We are developing a service catalog form that allows users to request an installation through the form. We need to redirect the user to the homepage upon the form submission. I'm trying to use document.location.href, which is not working. Somebody says, is it giving you an error or not triggering the redirect? Have you tried document.location/x instead of documentation/x/? What did they do? Using the href. Gotcha. That looks like they're messing around with the client script on the onSubmit client script, and I have mixed feelings about that. I don't know that I would redirect them to the homepage. After you submit a form, wouldn't you want them to go to the resulting page? Like, hey, verify your order, or here's the status, here's your request number. You want them to go to the catalog request. I guess we don't understand the whole process there. Guided tours for custom functionality. Guided tours is going to be our June topic for Tech Now. Working on that right now. Still trying to get the schedule nailed down. It's jumping all over. Could be early June, could be late June. Part of changing the mode in which we deliver these means I'm beholden to somebody else's schedule. Whereas it used to be, hey guys, want to do a video on Thursday? And we do a video on Thursday. Nope, can't make Thursday. Let's do Wednesday. Fine, Wednesday. The more people you get involved, the more complex it becomes to schedule. Just like anything else, whether it's a meeting at work or a picnic with the family, the more people you invite, the harder it gets to schedule. Hello, can anyone tell me if guided tours can be set up for a service catalog item? So actually on the request item page, which would be all our custom stuff. I thought guided tours, we are currently on Jakarta from whatever, guided tours don't appear to be available for custom modules, but I thought I would ask in case it's not true. I'm not completely sure to answer your query, but rather suggest you request below. Getting started with guided tour designer in Jakarta. I thought, let me go to the docs page, and I thought Kingston added support for guided tours. I thought I may have to check my support notes on that. Go to Evernote and look. Catalog. I don't even think I was close at spelling catalog right. Nope. Take a tour, step, properties, advice, triggers, designer interface, add a tour, guided tour accessibility, dashboard, auto launch, domain separation. Let's look for guided tours catalog. I thought it supported it. Guided tour, guided tour, guided tour, triggers, domain sep, guided tour, edited tour, guided tour properties. One moment while I turn to the other computer and look for Kingston guided tours. Tag Kingston guided tours. Not Flow Designer. Kingston TOI guided tours. Now we might be getting somewhere. Find catalog. And the answer that I see is 6 matches. And it's pulling it up the sidebar menu. Doesn't look like it's there yet. I know service portal's on the radar also. I don't know. Let's find out. This is when we might be able to do a little experimentation. Okay, this is Kingston. And I'm going to go to guided tours. guided, not guided setup. That's something completely different. Create tour. Down here in embedded help. Tour name. Safety. You know what? Let's put this in the safety app just for fun. I have a scope. Makes it even more fun. Put that in the safety app. Bring up the same form. I have a record producer. That's part of the catalog. That should work, right? New safety issue. Application page name. Ooh, this is where it gets interesting. Because the page name for record producer is the com.glide. Whatchamacallit. So safety, I might have to come back to that page. Safety issue. Let's look at the record producer. This could be interesting. How do you get the exact page name? Something tells me it's not going to work, but I don't want to curse it yet. Record producer. We are in uncharted waters. This is where the exploration and experimentation comes in. My record producer for report a safety issue is right there at the top. I'm going to open that up and look at the try it. Now, the URL that comes out of that thing looks like this, and I will put that into my text editor so you can see it better at home, because you can't read that URL. And it looks like a big freaking mess. Get rid of this part and the com.glide app. This is the page, and then the sysparm ID says this is the record producer item. So really that is what I'm after. And if I go back to guided tour, create tour, I don't know. This seems kind of suspicious to me. Oops. Cut that out of there and say safety issue, guided tour. I'm not going to restrict it for any role, but I want to see if I can restrict it to... let's try this. It's going to try and bring that up. What is it going to bring up? You are neither authorized or the cart item is invalid. Yeah, that's a problem. It doesn't know specifically which item to designate. So let's go back to the item. I wonder if I can do that via browser history. Was it over here? It was over here. Nice. Okay, go back to history, report a safety issue, copy the sysid, copy the sysid. Fine. SysID's up here. Sysparm ID. Card item view version equals 1 ampersand. So I need, for my tour designer, let's quit that. Go back to guided tour. Theoretically, it already created the record for this, so I don't need to create another one. Let's sort by, there's safety issue right there at the bottom. I was going to say, give me the most current one. Context will be question mark sysparm ID equals blah. Well, it already kind of had that. Take out the %3D, as I mentioned yesterday. 3D is an equal sign. Let's save that and try to edit with Designer. Now, do I get something? No! All right, I tried. Yeah, I just tried this in Kingston using the com.glide app. Alone and with the sysparm ID to specify the catalog item / record producer. Unfortunately, neither worked. Let's fix the spelling on unfortunately. Come on. There we go. Neither worked. Big sad face. That's not a sad face. That's a sad face. My assumption at this point is that catalog is not yet supported by Guided Tour Designer. I'll have to make a note of that. Or if I hear words to the contrary, I will find out. There's always somebody that goes, no, you can do that. Okay, not always. Often. Like I said, my knowledge is not extensible. I mean, the total extent, my knowledge is not extensible. My knowledge is not the total extent of ServiceNow knowledge. Okay, I was still working there. Let's go back and get another one. Time is just flying by so fast today. Wow. While that's reloading, I will take a drink. Who was an email sent to? That's a good question. Let's find out what the requirement is. Don't forget, kids, when you're specifying a question in here, give us the business requirement that's behind it. It'll help. Is there a way to get a list of all the recipient email addresses that an email that comes into the system in the inbound action? Yes, if I remember right. Let's go to the docs, get rid of Guided Tour Designer, get rid of the Service Portal Designer, get rid of the Page Designer, and go back here to inbound email actions. And I know you can get the email object, which tells you email.from, email.to. So here's the process that it goes through: domain separation, inbound email processing. Let's take a look at that. And where are the things you can get out of here? I'm looking quickly. I apologize for the scrolling. I know you can get a little seasick on that. Or reply new, email user matching, impersonate inbound redirecting, setting field values in the email body. So there's email.body. And there's email. I thought you could get the email.to. Email.to. Not on this page. How about from? Okay, matching sender and email address order. Let me see the examples. There are some examples. Inbound action examples, specifying email processing order. You can do that. Find email.from. Find email.to. The original email, email body text. Reply from. That might be it. Let's find out what orig email is. Does it explain it, or is it just examples? No, that's a terrible way to represent it. An example in a little box on the side. Okay. Inbound actions. Email dot from to orig. All right, let's do it this way. Email dot orig email. Is that what it was? Inbound examples, email logs, construct the message with a template, reply to email notifications with email. Email client. So I see it in the examples. It appears the other place to look would be on the developer portal. Let's look over here. Email.orig email. Might be something here that we can find. Parsing inbound. Ah, looky there. It says contains the... Ooh, this is nice. Contains the email sender's address as listed in the email headers field. Ding, 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 ding. Answer is yes. Somebody's probably already got this. The recipient's field in sys email. If you're looking for it in the inbound email, if you are looking for this in the inbound email action, you can find it via email.orig email. Okay. Gotta go, Steve. I guess we'll meet up in Vegas. Yes, we will. But would appreciate if you could look at our problem with SysID, that one. You know what? I'm going to have a hard time finding that because that screen I'm looking at for that SysID is on a different computer unless I know what I can do. I can copy and paste that from there to my Google Doc, which I don't have on the screen at the moment. Darn. I will paste that and it will show up in the Google Doc in just a moment. Apologies for the delay and turning away from the camera and the computer. I have links available for Steve's link. Okay. Thank you, Google, for making data transportation very much easier. To say nothing of English. Okay, we've got a few things in the inbox, it appears. Let's go take a quick look, refreshing the inbox, and has label attribute. This is the one that I just mentioned a few minutes ago that was rather odd. Thank you for the answer. Kingston Upgrade removed this attribute only in problem table, but it exists on other tables like KB, like you said. The upgrade removed it? Seems odd. I wonder if it's just an old deprecated thing that really has no use anymore. Could be. How to get service portal index? Lisa wanted to know how she gets there. I said, you can filter. And she replied back. It was expanding as I was scrolling. Thanks, Chuck, for your reply. I tried this and got nothing. Then you may not have an index page. Go to service portal pages and see if you have one. So I would go to service portal pages and make sure you have one called index. I'm going to take a quick screenshot of that as well, as a reply to a reply. If it doesn't show up there, check service portal pages and use a filter to look for the ID is index. If it's not there, then you don't have a page called index. Somebody may have deleted it. Then someone may have deleted it. Sad face. I don't hit that thing often enough. Can I delete a view form? Oh, question that came in this morning. So they mentioned they're in a domain separate. I was going to get to this in a little bit, but since it came up anyway, they said, I'm in a domain separated environment and I need to delete a view. Someone added a view and now it's time to get rid of it. Can I just go into the views under the sysui view table and delete it? And I said, no, timeout, stop. Don't do that because a whole bunch of other forms and tables reference that view. If you delete it, they have nothing to reference. The way that this is put together is that the views are sort of a container, a placeholder, a label, if you will, that the sections reference. Does this section go on this view for this table? When I'm looking at incident and it's got various sections, and the sections are what you might see as tabs if you've got tab forms turned on, or listed vertically if you have tab forms turned off. Those sections are related to the table, to the view. So it's almost like a reference field. Don't delete something that other records reference. Delete the sections that are on there is what I said. And then, of course, elements are a related list of so I said, someone said, you can refer to this link, navigation, and create the delete view. I already had that. Let me give you a quick demonstration. If you're looking at sys UI view dot list. Interestingly enough, default is not the name of the default view. Empty is the name of the default view. It just has a title of default. So when you don't specify a view, that's what it uses, the default view. For example, if I went to name is ESS, it's called the self-service view. If I deleted this, all of these records that reference this Okay, I have several form sections, so incident, catalog request, catalog item, several lists, several related lists that use this view. That would be bad. That would be like deleting a location that a whole bunch of users are referencing. Not a good thing. So don't do that. Instead, you go to the sections table, either directly or through this related list, and say, you know what? We don't use the ESS view on the form incident. So now I have this record referencing this view, and if I delete it, it will take out all the elements, which are the fields and the annotations and everything else that makes up that form view. You delete that, that's where you want to delete it, at the section level, not at the view level. So otherwise you're going to have hanging references. Again, I am in the safety application, trying to look at something that's in the global application, so something is going to be all read-only. That was the answer to that one. We just got another response to it. Reusing an approval activity in workflow. I don't know that we're going to get any information out of this. This is an older thread that I don't know that did I contribute to this? Oh, I just said I ran into this years ago. When you do a rollback and all the approvals disappear, it's resetting the approvals. Somebody said, thanks, that's what I thought. I worked this out. If you call this out-of-box function before rerunning the approval activity, disassociate wow, okay. Service catalog, IC factory wrap, where that's pretty obscure. I didn't know we were still using factory stuff. It will remove the WF activity reference from the previous approvals so that the next time the approval activity runs, it doesn't delete the previous. Yay, that's very helpful. Give yourself a cookie. Mark it correct. I'm going to mark it helpful because I can't mark it correct. I'm not the author. All right. Quick note, if you're not doing anything next week, you might want to head up to Vegas, where we are having a very big conference for ServiceNow called Knowledge. Knowledge is our big event, big customer event of the year. We look forward to seeing you there. It's not too late to sign up. If you have signed up, it's not too late to build your schedule. A lot of these sessions are filling up fast, have filled up, and you even want to sign up for Thursday night social activity, our party as it were. There's 4 choices, and some of those are already full. But check back. I know that our team is looking at going from a 7:30 thing to a 9 o'clock or 9:30 thing, and that may free up some spaces. So check back periodically and see if what you wanted is now available. Go into the Knowledge site, look for the content catalog, that's it. And if you are a developer, admin, or architect, I invite you to check the checkbox that says CreatorCon so you can get that in-depth content, not just hands-on labs and sessions, but these are the technical hands-on labs and sessions that you can go to at CreatorCon. It is going to be a freaking blast. It's a lot of learning. It is a lot of socializing. Bring your business cards. This is May 3rd, and it happens to be the day that my life changed, or my career changed anyway. 8 years ago, I was at Knowledge 10 as a customer, and on April 22nd, I won the Innovation of the Year award, something they don't have anymore. They ran it for about 4 or 5 years, and I won an award. And May 3rd, which was a Monday, I came into work at my old job, and they let me go. We had a new CIO that was doing a reorg, and he didn't need a global service desk manager anymore. But I was doing more than just managing the service desk. I was also the architect and implementer of a lot of stuff on ServiceNow. So started sending out my resume, and fortunately ServiceNow picked me up because A, I had won that award, and B, I made a bunch of conversations. But while I was doing my initial job search, I got home on May 3rd after my company let me go and started making phone calls with people I had associated with at Knowledge 10. They had asked for an invite. They said, oh, I'd like to see this award-winning software application you wrote. And I had to cancel that meeting. And within a few minutes of getting home and saying, hey, you know what, Gail, I can't make our meeting tomorrow. I've been let go. She says, oh, what kind of job are you looking for? She offered me a job working on ServiceNow within a few minutes of me being terminated. That was astounding to me. So be prepared. I'm not saying that this is going to be your next job fair, but you never know. Give yourself the opportunity to make those connections. When you go to lunch or you go to dinner, associate Meet people that you don't normally meet. There will be great connections in the future. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. If you bring your business cards when you go to a workshop or you go to a breakout session, sit next to somebody you don't know. Introduce yourself. Say, hi, I'm Chuck. This is where I am in my ServiceNow journey. This is what I do. This is my role. This is why I love my job, that kind of thing. So, Jonah, can't wait. It says, can't wait to meet everyone. Looking forward to long days at Knowledge 80. So long days are right. I don't know if I'll be doing one of these tomorrow morning. Like I said, I will be picking up Craig Stepp from the airport. I'm trying to shift my schedule from the early mornings to the later evenings. The hackathon next Tuesday has me a bit concerned because I need to stay up till midnight, which is much, much later than I normally stay awake. I go to bed early so that I can do this early, but I don't need to do this next week. Sort of like jet lagging myself within my own time zone. So, yeah, thank you, Gaurav, for the kind words. Those are my general conference tips. No matter if you're going to ServiceNow's Knowledge or you're going to a SecOps conference, any chance you get to socialize with other people, build your network. Get that out there. The old adage that's been beaten up over the years is it's not what you know, it's who you know. It very much is who you know. Don't be a fool and think that you'll get promoted based on what you know. It's all about, yes, you get the job done and others know about it. Put yourself out there, even if you're not a sociable person. Get into that uncomfortable zone and introduce yourself. It's not where a lot of people like to be. Sometimes in a social setting, they'd rather sit behind the keyboard and bang out code, and you may be the best coder, but if nobody knows about it, it's not going to do you any good when the axe falls or you're looking for your next opportunity, then you're not prepared. This is just one of many career tips I can provide to you. Okay, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. It worked for me. I hope it works for you. Let's go back to the community. I've got a couple of things that I want to follow up on from previous days. This one came up this morning, actually, just before the show started. I was eating some cantaloupe and looking over some of the things, and this one caught my eye. How to prefix a short description field based on another field value. They've got this as an example of region. And they said, we've got this change request, and if somebody puts more than one value into the region field, and I went back and said, what type of field is it? It sounds like a list field, could be a related list. They said, it is a list field. Well, I just banged out a quick business rule. I said, use a before business rule. Something like this. Current under short description equals current under your region. I should have technically put get values in here. I could still do that, I suppose. Might as well make this more effective for people coming along later. Yes, people have replied to this, and I still want to change it. Let's go to this, click the code editor, and change that to get value. And I just put this in and said, yes, you can put in prefixes with a before business rule. Something like this. This would have worked either way, and this is why I had to make my font smaller earlier, so I could find that OK button. Save that. Make the font bigger for you. And there are some replies. Somebody else said, yep, you can do that with a number of items. And I said, well, what type of field is region? And they said, it is a list field. And I said, great. One way to determine if you have more than one element is just do a split. A list field, the one with the little block that you put names in or locations, whatever it is, where you can do sort of a quasi multi-select. It just stores them as a comma-separated list of sysids. So you can count how many are in there by doing a split on comma. And I completely botched that up. I didn't even put the comma in there. Let's edit that one too, before someone gets all up in my grill about that. And edit the code in there. Kind of helps if you have a character in the split. I apologize. I have been doing multiple languages and multiple IDEs for a couple of weeks, and my brain isn't always thinking straight. When it comes back to ServiceNow, I will be hitting Command S on a web page, and it goes, where do you want me to save the web page? Like, no, I just want you to update the record. Oh, click the update button, stupid. It happens. So you can split and it will store it in an array, and an array has an attribute called length. So I am asking how many of the elements are in here. If there's more than one, then it's a global thing and you can apply your label, that sort of thing. And if the unfortunate part is they also said, well, if it's in USA or not in USA, there's some condition. I said, you don't get the display value out of that unless you actually go get the record. So I showed them a quick example of how to do a glide record query. You instantiate a record on the table. They said region is a pointer or a reference to the location table, which is CMN underscore location. If you didn't know that, it's very easy to find out. And I said, let's take just one element out of that array, use it as the sysid to do a get, and then I can get the display value of that record with the get display value method. Not terribly complex. This is probably the most challenging part of ServiceNow, is just learning the APIs and what tools do you have in your toolbox to get the job done. And hopefully I can share some of those with you that were a little challenging for me in the first year or so. So looking forward to that. That's my comments on that. We'll see what we come back with, especially now that I corrected them. Hopefully they didn't copy and paste that code. I didn't put in my standard caveat either. This code is neither tested nor it may contain errors and may need to be modified. Another comment that I had this morning was, this is more of a philosophical one. How do I, a discussion based on yesterday's thread, how do I export records, including the attachments, to Excel? And I went, wow, that is one Excel I would be afraid to open. Can you imagine going through and seeing maybe even 100 records, which would be not too many, 100 records, and every once in a while have an attachment. Those attachments could be images. Those attachments could be spreadsheets. Those attachments could be whatever. That file is going to get very, very large. First of all, it's not available out of the box. I'm not going to say you can do this. You could do this if you built your own processor, perhaps. I don't know. It seems like a lot of customization. And then I said, well, what are they trying to do? What's the experience? And I said, they came back and said, I've already explained these cons to the customer as they requested this requirement. It's basically a custom application mainly used for the attachment of segregated as records. I mentioned the incident, for example, integrated from ServiceNow to a third-party system. They will be filtering and exporting the records with the attachments based on their needs for verification with other systems. Customer wants to document few import records with attachments for their use in a timely manner. That just sounds like a conflict of requirements to me. And I said, my recommendation is point them at the system and help them understand that ServiceNow is a single source of record. You're getting it in real time. The minute you start exporting information, it's no longer live. It's no longer current, which is a bit redundant. It's no longer controlled. You don't know where that's going, who's got yesterday's data, who's got last week's data, and they're trying to comment it. Hey, keep it in the system, and now you can report on it, you can analyze it. And I gave an example when I was a customer that we had a business analyst come up and say, hey, we needed a request, and we're going to, my requirement is that we put emails as attachments for approvals. Because that's the way it worked in the old system, and that's how she understood the system to work. And I said, let me show you something. And I showed her that the approvals are built into ServiceNow, and your evidence is a related list at the bottom of who approved what and when. And she lit up and went, oh, that's awesome. We can do that? I said, yeah, we can do that. And it's really quick. It's a whole lot easier than saving an EML file and uploading it as an attachment. And then somebody comes along later and says, well, who approved this? And you've got to go through 14 attachments to figure out which one was the exact approval. That was a pain. When it came to the next annual audit, we had the the auditors come in, and they usually take over a conference room for a week, and nobody's happy because conference rooms are always a precious commodity. They came in, they were in and out in one day because the evidence was a lot more accessible in ServiceNow than it was in the old system. So that was a huge win. It's not a monetary thing, but in terms of cost savings, how much are we paying those auditors to do these things every year? I just cut that down to 20% of what it was. That's a pretty amazing fact you can take to your manager and say, this is how we're saving money with ServiceNow. And the information is live, accessible, we can report on it. Try to keep things within ServiceNow whenever possible. The single source of record, stop swivel seating, that's a huge value add to the organization. When people come up with requirements, it may be based on legacy systems and that's how it was done. And they don't know that there is a better way. So try and walk them into that, help them understand. And that was my explanation about that link and what we were discussing in that thread. There is another thread that I'm going to try and do an experiment on since we do have a few minutes left. The question was all around the REST API Explorer. We were doing a topic about the REST API Explorer and we're getting a lot of questions about implementation of REST requests, which is kind of natural when you're talking about integrations. The REST API Explorer is really to help you develop those third-party integrations that are talking to ServiceNow. My custom app or my third-party app wants records out of ServiceNow. This will help you build those endpoints, headers, whatever it takes. It wants to inject information into ServiceNow. Same kind of thing. What does the post URI look like to do that? That's what this is good for. But a lot of the questions we got during the webinar last week and even continuing into this week is, can I do this with a REST API? How do I do this with a REST API? Maybe we need more integrations discussions. You guys have a survey. We look forward to hearing what you've got to say about that. So Jace Benson said, I don't think so. Is it possible to get REST to obtain the response in a different language? I happen to have on my instance the Spanish language installed. And if I take a user, let's go to user, something appropriate like Alejandro Mescal and add him as Spanish. So let's go to Alejandro, close enough, Mescal. Set his default language to Spanish. Save that. I'm curious. I don't know the answer to this. I'm exploring at this point, but I do need data to set this up. And now if I want to make sure he's got access to the REST API Explorer. Let me bring up, can I do this? Come on, mouse. Mouse just ran off the edge of the universe. I think the flat earthers may have an idea if they were referring to mouse pads. Yes, I'm using an optical mouse with a mouse pad because I need something smooth to which to set on the corner of my mixer board. Where was I going? Alejandro needs access to the REST API Explorer. And I thought this had some sort of role attached to it. So let me look at the module. You need REST API Explorer. Okay, I can do that. Let's give that to Alejandro. Go back into his user profile. The more I use this little clock icon to view recent records, the more I love it. I just keep forgetting it's there. Let's add REST API Explorer. REST API Explorer. And then I will impersonate Alejandro. Now, if I impersonate him, I'm going to be trying to navigate the system in Spanish, which should be interesting. How did I come up with ATF user? Did I not click on the right thing? Alejandro. Impersonate Alejandro. Yes, yes, see? Translate this page. Don't translate this page. Oh, please don't. That's what I'm trying not to do. Okay. And Alejandro goes into incident. No idea. Incident.list. I know that'll work. And I should see options. Now, if you just do a REST API, let me show you two things. First is, this isn't his request, but you could see the urgency, the due date, the open, when it was closed. The labels are in Spanish, but so are the options. Okay, the state is cerrado, which I think is closed, because this is all read-only. If I take the sysid, oh, where is it? He can't copy the sysid, but he can copy the URL. Here's a dirty little trick. If you don't have access on an instance to copy sysids, okay. It thinks sysid sounds a lot like society. You can copy it right out of the URL. Just make sure you get the right part. Now, Alejandro is going to go to the REST API Explorer. Oh no, I gave him access to that. Where'd it go? There it is. Explorador de API de REST. Of course, it's not API, it's API. My Spanish is really terrible today. Let's go to the table API, and the table name is incident, which is incidencia. Thank goodness the table name is in the parentheses to help me out. And I want to retrieve a record. Let's do that again. Let's go to incident and put in the sysid. Interestingly enough, this page is not translated very well. Of course, these are literal sysparm values, so I don't think you can translate those. And I am just going to go down here and hit send. And I get a 200 OK. And notice the response. The cuerpo de la respuesta, which is the body of the request. I do know what cuerpo is. And I get field value, field value, field value, field value. And in some cases, the value is a sysid. Nothing really worth translating in here. You don't translate the value, you translate, and this is a literal thing that somebody typed in Spanish. However, up here on the Explorer, I have sysparm display value. If I set that to true, or both, so that I get the value, and let's set it to both. Both will give me the value and the display value. Again, I get the same record, 200 OK. Notice, where is it? Not assignment group, not assignee list. This won't scroll within here. It's broken. My scrolly scroll is broken. Let me reload this page, and I'm going to do the same thing. Did I get the sysid? I'll salvage that, so I don't have to type it again. Let's reload that. Fingers crossed. That's going to work. Don't translate this page. Something happened to my browser. I don't know what that was all about. Oops, not table. Incident. Incident. Our favorite table to pick on. Oh, I got to do it again. Retrieve a record. I mean, I could have put sysparm query equals sysid. Come on, brain. Come on, it's almost the end. Incident. Spell it right. Incident. That's where it gets fun, kids. sysid. And I'm just saying, go to the incident table, get this record, and oops, sysparm display value is both. I want to see the state value and the state label, if it translated that for Alejandro. And again, with the scrolling thing, I wonder if this is because of his role. All right, darn it. I'm going to go overtime with this. I'm going to go back to sysadmin, and I'm just going to give Alejandro a role here. I was just looking at his, so we should be able to get that user, not dashboard, user Alejandro. I'm going to give him admin rights just for a sec. It's my personal developer instance. I can do what I want, right? Give him admin. I don't know if that's going to help with the scrolling and the reading and whatnot. Okay, Alejandro is there. Go back into his profile. Go back and log in as him. Go to the Explorador. There we go. Table API, retrieve a record from the incident table. Waiting. Didn't spell it right. It's amazing how many times I can spell that and it still doesn't come out right. Paste this SID. Say I want both value and display value. NVR. There we go. It's scrolling. I don't know why. So somewhere in here, and it just stopped scrolling. What was that all about? Is there any evidence that I have a display value in here? No. Can I highlight some of that? Yes. Okay. Now I said both. Where is my display values for any of this stuff? Close code is not translated. Close notes, not. That's a string field. Looking for any choices or those are bogus fields. Category is hardware. I don't have a display value in here. Did it get that? Interesting. Set it to true. Oh, it's all. Silly me. I should really learn to read the instructions if I want this to work right. Mistakes can be made. Okay, here we go. Yes, it does. So active is, the value is false, but the display value instead of FALSE in English is falso. So I'm going to post that back to this discussion. Interesting question. Have you tried impersonating for what it's worth? Now I can answer this with authority instead of have you tried. I just impersonated someone with Spanish as their language setting and the REST API Explorer or Explorador, whatever it was. The REST API Explorer brought up translated labels when I used sysparm display value equals all or true. Ding. Is he going to preserve that font, I wonder? Oh, he did. That's interesting. Let's fix this because I think... Yeah, I mentioned both before. I don't know where I got that from. I used that a long time ago on an integration that I did between a couple of ServiceNow instances. I said, go get me some records. And I need the display values. Sometimes you don't have the same records on your system. All right, is that it? Views and sections we already talked about. Steve's link, I'm going to try and get to that one offline. I appreciate it. We are over time. Thank you for joining me. Don't know if there will be an episode tomorrow. You're welcome to tune in and join. Thank you for watching today. If you liked the video, found something helpful in here, a little bit insightful, click the like button and share the link, subscribe to the channel, all that good stuff. You can do that over at YouTube, blah, 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 right there on the screen. Until then, it's all that's left for me to do is wish you a day to be helpful, learn something, share it, do all that good stuff, and I look forward to seeing you at Knowledge very, very soon. Take care. Have a good day. Bye.